a lot more girls applied though.
I'm just.
Oh.
Go for it. Because
Oh, yeah.
we'll be at the.
Well, he seemed really interested in the FWAD ambassador position. You guys.
And.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you are going to the one that, I mean, I sent the email for it in summer. I think this is yeah.
Would you good?
That's what he said about that.
I can like chat. I just can't comment.
Whatever.
I mean, it's like, the comments are not, it's just, I chat.
So we, the 26th.
There's a lot.
We're gonna have a panel, so they're gonna ask questions, and you're gonna tell them what you like about SGA. Yep. Yes.
Nice.
I'll be there. Yay.
That's not enough, thank you.
I know this one, it's just. They don't showing. Like, when we look at, that's something. You'll just be memorialized. Is there a possibility to?
Good morning.
So.
Literally, where is everyone? 6:45. Everyone's gonna show up at like 6:59. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to munch. And fall asleep at that. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Can you help me? Oh, your book is in the.
Then I.
Yes. Me too.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yes. There we go. Thank you for being patient with me.
Oh my gosh.
What you guys do? Do they have food outside? They have food outside, like.
Thank you.
What?
So watermelon outside?
Yeah, there's one on that. You're gonna come, yes, and you.
Okay.
Hey, did I give you one?
I'm always.
I'll send you this.
Yay.
What?
I sent you this. Oh, that's beautiful, real.
I know, I mean, I got.
People call me that.
Oh,
Yes.
So, I need to go watch some. I'm so, hold on, I'll get back into you. No, you stay here. You stay here.
You should know something like.
Okay.
What? Make sure you're gonna stop, because I'm not gonna do it. That's like high school. Dude.
Go down.
I like that, right? I'm kind of cool like that. I mean, he's good. He got the best story. Yeah. But look, people go like, we want to put a lot of us. But, I mean, I was like, hey, they want to put more on, I go right ahead, I respect it.
Hi, Anthony. Sorry. That's all? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I think I'm gonna do probably I want to do live streaming. Yeah, I just figured that out. I was like thinking, and I was like, oh, you share screen and then you enable sound. Where is Anthony? Hey Sarah, did you see Anthony out there?
Oh, yeah, I saw him over there.
Wait, if I'm logged out, you can log out of what? You can log out. Yeah, you can, this is just on the browser. The Zoom's still going. Yeah, I know. I bet.
If it was.
Really?
Yeah, Zoom's up right now.
I don't know, that's my thing too. Watch no one come, it's just us, all of us. That's it, that's the entire Senate. Sit right there. What? 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 Where you sitting? What? Up here. Good.
So, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, Mila better be here. No, I 50, but I. If Mila's coming, then. I don't.
Is that? Okay, so then you have to log out.
Move down right here. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think because like, what is the next super? Mila can just probably sit right there. So.
The hair flip.
By who?
Ellie. Ellie's
It's true. Or like, yeah, no, it's just not pretty out. So then.
And replace them. This one.
I know we don't. What's wrong?
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I have not.
Where's my cleaner?
So, where do you have? Are you logged into?
Please. No, I'm sure.
You know what I do? I'm supposed to look at my cup. After I got it.
And just log in, you just need to, you can just log in your. Share that one, share that one, three, yeah, and maybe make a story post. That's good. Then once you, let me know, once you get logged into your Zoom, in my joy, that Zoom, we can make you an app, or make you a co-host, that's good.
Hey, here.
Hey, Eric.
Here. That's the only name that came up to my mind.
We gotta get the trash can if we wanna prop the door open. You can log into your school email. So go back to it. Yeah.
I love anything that.
So do that. So.
What's your day going?
Go back to your Zoom.
feel like I'm dying.
Oh, 100% mutual feeling.
I've been sick the past 2 days.
Oh.
So log in.
So I'm like so dazed and I woke up this morning, I was so dizzy, but I'm like hopped up on like medicine. Next, I'm taking
Okay.
Excedrin
No
before I
audio. Oh, you do have audio.
You can hardly.
I got a whole bunch of cough, so I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Just. Take your phones.
Yeah,
Oh, that's why I'm so sorry for you, because you're.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
That's why I automatically turned your video on, because you're cussed. So you'll just be on here, probably rename yourself like, I mean, maybe you can be Anthony I, but like Anthony my moderator, like, that's cheap. Yeah.
Like the fuck's your body?
I am.
Where's your day going? For the resolution.
Oh.
Oh, that might, be.
Remind me.
You look control.
Oh, I see.
What is your obsession with you, Kevin?
Actually, I'll wait.
You should know this. Dedicated comments and.
Then right now it's still. Like I got some jobs, yes. I don't know where you.
The kids in Chicago, one of us. You put that.
How are you?
Yeah.
I see.
Yes. Even through one.
Oh.
Oh, see, you're seeing right here. Watch your.
Even-
Oh,
Yeah, honestly. I just, how many people does it take? What?
Where?
You like time you?
Yeah.
How are you?
Great, how are you? I think we have to see like, I think it's 19.
Yes.
You know they had a balloon, right?
It's up half.
Yeah, I won't go there, but.
Oh, don't worry.
I.
Yeah, Madeline from Food Pantry helped me set up all my questions. Yeah, Chicago. Well, so this guy will be done tonight, but he thought I did, he says like, yeah, that's this and that, and that's my. Well, I couldn't get done, it's 34%, but that's okay, because I finished the recording, so.
I just leave.
It should not, like, I'm gonna like drill, like, speed this, right, so we don't need to like meet the rules.
I know what you're more done.
Yeah, well, like, I need to cover like, color coding, wording, that's what I really was the one. That's like, yes, something from there, that we cannot be complicated, it's not,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it's fresh,
Half an hour, guys. Yeah. Hi, how are you?
So you can probably put something you had and you wouldn't hear from.
How was your meeting? going?
Yeah. No, you're good.
It's like,
Yeah. Oh, you don't like allergies? Yeah, it's gonna be good.
That makes it easier.
Hold on to your
It's
keys.
so much easier. I think sure, cause yeah, that is good. Oh, yeah, I feel like a lot of we can work on like a lot of. Yeah. No, I love it. It's gonna be good. Yeah, yeah.
One of my You ready? This is the, I heard.
Yeah, I heard about your illness.
I know,
Wow.
it's gonna be, I'm like, if I move my neck too fast, I can see, it's just because like that's the Okay.
The same time as Sean. I need to be I need to be like, I'm like a slow.
Okay.
No, I was just wondering.
Let's see. Okay.
Really like spelled
Oh, no, like, your parents just gotta put it in a chair. So you can sit there, but you can. Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Watch mine.
Or something.
Yeah, I watched it and it's pretty good. I think mine's more shirt than color. But I'm doing it. Oh, it's one, two, three. Sorry, the hands are so calloused, and I felt so bad.
Oh, right. Go.
No, it was. I was like, so. I hope y'all spend that.
I don't call your face, but I mean, I actually had to, there was this in my class, who I had like 4 times.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
More people travel.
Okay.
Okay, okay, yeah, we got. A ver en mi, pero tenemos un email de estudiantes. Y tuve que trabajar en equipo por 4 horas y me bloqueé y hacer el.
I mean, I'm.
The meeting has been called to order for Student Senate Business Meeting at 7 PM, Namel Hall 113. The Director of Administration, Kelly Gonzalez, will be doing roll call.
Vice President Ramirez,
Here,
Chief of Staff Optic,
Here.
Director of EIA Quinn, here. Director of Integrity Conley,
Here.
Director of Leadership Lasso, here. Director of Marketing Mai,
Here.
Director of Recruitment Hammond, here. Coordinator of Student Wellness, Yuri Zarigum,
Here.
Senator Pirosi. Senator Norby, here. Senator Jimenez Avalos.
Me, or here.
Senator Calderon Palacios, here. Senator Benitez,
Here.
Senator John.
When machine. When machine.
Okay. Senator Brady, here. Senator Gomez. Senator Hirschman Harding, here. Senator Smith,
Here.
Senator Ringgold, here. Senator Brooklyn. Senator Long, here. Senator Hodges. Senator Rye, here. Senator Valladares.
Violet, they're here. Sorry.
Senator, Senator Piper,
Here.
Senator Apenhaga. Senator Lopez. Senator Yuling, Ambassador Yuling, sorry. Ambassador Goodman Hall.
our first item of the agenda, or the first item of business is going to be approval of the agenda. Is there any motions to update the agenda? I do have some, I am seeking a motion just to like update the agenda to look like this. I just added some indents to the reports, for example, like my report. As well as just like more indents, just to format it, as well as to update the coordinator of student wellness, Irizarry Gums, just to update his report. Senator Hirschbaum Harding,
I make a motion to make such changes.
is there a second? Senator Rye. Now we're on to a period of voting. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Then all those opposed, please raise your placards. In the opinion of the chair, the motion is adopted. Is there any additional items or additional things to include on the agenda? If not, then we're on to approval. Now we're on to a period of voting for the approval of the agenda. All those in favor, please raise your placards. $15. And then all those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay. The approval of the agenda has passed. Okay. Our next item of business is the reading and approval of old minutes. Is there any discussion on the previous minutes? Senator Hirschbaum Harding,
Request for information, has Senator Vargas's name been updated from your report or someone's report?
like the,
No, like Senator Tony Vargas. There was a
Oh.
discussion about the debate. So that's what I emailed you about.
is it on the old minutes or is it on the resolution?
Yeah.
Oh,
His
okay.
name has an A instead of an E.
Vargas. Is there a second for Senator Hirschbaum Harding to update Tony Vargas's name? There is a second by Senator Piper. Now we're on to a period of voting to update Tony Vargas's name on the old minutes. All those in favor, please raise your placards. And then all those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay. The motion has been adopted. Is there any other discussion for the old minutes? If there's no further discussion, now we're on to a period of voting on the previous minutes. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Then all those opposed, please raise your placards. Senator Piper. Okay. The previous old minutes has been adopted. Okay. Now we're on to a period of open forum. Is there anyone here for open forum? If there's nobody here for open forum has closed. Now we're on to a period of guest speaker. We're going to be having Dr. Matthew Tracy to talk about UNO General Education Curriculum. Dr. Tracy, you have 30 minutes to speak to the body. We encourage a period of questioning and answering. And then if you're interested in extending that time, please let me know and that permission will be granted.
Awesome. Do you have your presentation?
Yes, I do.
Do you guys want me to speak with the microphone or is this okay?
If you can do a microphone, it's good for the people online, but we have a neck mic, like, that's like an area. mic.
Hello, test. Can you hear that? Is that good? All right. Hey, how's everyone doing tonight? My name is Matt Tracy. I chair the university's General Education Committee, and I work over in academic affairs. I really, really appreciate the time tonight to talk a little bit about some potential changes to our gen ed curriculum. And so before I kind of begin, though, I just want to kind of see if there are any immediate impressions that come to mind when you think of gen ed at UNO or your own gen ed experience. Okay, but very honest, a big thumbs down. That's good actually, right? Because that's some of the things that we've been hearing elsewhere. So that's good. Anyone agree with that? Is that the only like thumbs down? Maybe a little thumbs down. All right. So can you maybe share with me why you maybe felt that way? If not, that's okay.
A lot of the courses that I took were not at all relevant. To
Yeah.
maybe needed to be spending thousands of dollars on.
Awesome. Not awesome that happened, but I appreciate that feedback, and that is not at all an isolated kind of, I think, perception. And so I'll get into some details here for you all in a moment, but bottom line, I want you to know that we are trying to do some things with gen ed on this campus to, one, make it exactly what you said, make it more relevant for what we know you all are going to go do out in the real world, regardless of whether you're a geography major, a business major, or a sociology major, right? There are certain skills and dispositions and perspectives you all are going to have to practice and exercise out in the professional and civic world. And we think that's important to more deliberately do in gen ed. So we're really trying to think about what a gen ed curriculum would look like that is more relevant consistently across gen ed. And so when you guys graduate, you're prepared for whatever you may face, whether it's a profession in your particular field or not. And so what we're calling this is a proposed skill curriculum. And maybe there are better names, but we've got a little bit of time to figure that out. But sustainable knowledge and integrated learning for life. But the idea, again, is that along the way, we're going to be developing some skills with you all that are going to apply in a broad assortment of fields and professions. So can I just say next slide? Is that okay? All right. Next slide. Here's what we're going to talk about. Okay. Next slide. Thanks. All right. So just a little bit of context here. This is not something that's kind of, bubbled up out of nowhere, but it's been a conversation on campus that's been happening now for actually a couple of years. I've been to this body on, I think, 2 or 3 occasions over the past couple of years. One, just kind of introducing the need maybe for some gen ed reform. Last time I was here, I think I talked about a few kind of loose ideas. Now I'm back and we're talking in a little bit more detail about an actual proposal. And so I shared an actual document. It's like 15, 16, 17 pages. And it's an actual proposal that outlines the curriculum or the proposed curriculum in some detail. And I think what I'm asking for you all to do is to talk about it, to think about it, to provide some feedback. And then ultimately, it would be great if you would think about endorsing something like this in terms of a revised gen ed proposal. Your voices go a long way in shaping what this is going to look like on campus. So obviously, there's been a lot of faculty conversation. There's been a lot of advisor conversation. There's been students involved, but your voice from this body matters a lot. And so I just want to kind of impress upon you the importance of your feedback and your ideas and your conversation. So you can kind of just see what's been happening up there, but we've had open forums, we've had focus groups, we've had lots and lots of conversation in different committees around campus, in the colleges, all over, talking about, one, the need for gen ed reform, and then some ideas about what it might actually look like. All right, so next slide. Maybe next slide. There we go. And so what have we found through all of this conversation and discussion? Well, we found that, one, maybe this is no surprise to you, but a lot of folks view gen ed as kind of a check the box mentality, right? It's a set of requirements. You show up on day one at the university, they're like, you got to hit some gen eds. And so you may not even really know what that is. And so you enter into these courses for gen ed and you're just kind of completing them because you have to. You're not really taking them because, you know what, this course is going to develop this particular skill, which I think I'm going to need when I graduate, or I'm going to take this class because it's going to do this particular thing. And so that was a common thing that we heard, is that lots of folks, and this is not actually just limited to students, but even sometimes staff and faculty think of this as just, we just got to get rid of gen, or we just got to get through gen ed to get to something better. Students don't always see how these courses serve their passions, serve their interests, serve their desires post-graduation. There really aren't any clear, distinctive gen ed outcomes. Like, what are we trying to do with these classes? Why are you taking gen ed? How many of you could even answer that other than it's a requirement? All right. So maybe some, I don't know, maybe not. If you really get dove into it, you might be able to. So why does this even matter? Well, we know that the skills and dispositions that are developed through a broad general education framework are important to employers. So there's an organization out there called the Association of American Colleges and Universities, AAC&U. About every 2 years, they survey employers, large and small, all across the country, all different industries. And they ask them, what are the skills and dispositions you think are important that your future workers are going to have? And oftentimes, the top things are things like critical thinking, communication, the ability to connect knowledge across disparate areas. These are all the skills that employers think are valuable. And through a thoughtfully designed gen ed, we can help develop those very skills that we know are going to be important when you graduate. So there are some opportunities here to create a more relevant, coherent, and integrated gen ed. And I'll kind of go into that in a little bit in a moment. But although there are challenges, and I've heard many, many challenges that people have with gen ed, I think there is an immense opportunity right now to shape what this curriculum looks like. Maybe not in time for you all, but certainly for those who follow. It would be a potentially generational transformation of gen ed that would serve students, I think, more effectively. Next slide. All right. So what does it mean to have a relevant curriculum? Well, just that, right? It means to develop the skills that are important personally and professionally, regardless of your major. This is important. We know that a lot of students are actually not going to work in fields directly related to their majors throughout the course of their life. They're going to move around, they're going to change, they're going to do different things, but the things that will remain are your ability to think critically, your ability to make connections across disciplines, your ability to communicate in written form and oral form, your ability to operate and navigate a diverse world. These are all incredibly important things that apply regardless of what kind of a profession you may find yourself in 10, 20, 30 years from now. Coherent means that those skills and those dispositions and those approaches are reinforced consistently in each and every gen ed class you take. So you don't go to this gen ed class and one set of things, and you go to this gen ed class is something radically different. This gen ed class is something else. We want to create some kind of glue, right, between the different gen ed classes you take. So whether it's a geography course or a business course or something else, you step into that gen ed course and you kind of go, okay, I've seen this before. I understand what this is about. And there's that kind of continuity across different gen ed courses. And then integrate it. Gen ed should be exposing you to things and connecting the world of the classroom to the world beyond the classroom. You should be connecting the material you're learning in the class to what's happening in other classes on campus. It should not be a narrow, isolated stovepipe kind of look at the world around you. We think it's important that this is integrated across your personal, professional, and work lives. All right, next slide. So summary of changes. All right, so very broad, and then you can read the document on your own. But one, very broadly, we are trying to align more closely with our NU system peers. We know a lot of students may come to UNO from UNK, they may come from UNL, they may go back and forth, and this gen ed is broadly aligned with what's happening in other campuses. There are some unique features for sure, but in terms of credit hours and kind of outcomes, they're similar. And so we're proposing a 34-hour gen ed curriculum. Right now we're at 46. Kearney is between 31 and 34. Lincoln is about 30. So our main difference would be we'd probably require another writing course, but generally we're fairly similar there. Every gen ed course would be very deliberately aligned with the methods and the enduring questions of whatever gen ed requirement that is. So you may or may not know, but you all take social science courses for gen ed right now. You take humanities courses. What makes a social science course distinct from a humanities course? I'm not going to ask you to answer that. Some of you may know, which is good. But I think a lot of students may not walk out of those courses understanding what makes them unique and distinct and different. And if they do, it might be by chance rather than by design. So we think that's important. We think that every gen ed course, as I've said already, has a common set of transferable outcomes that apply to your lives beyond that classroom. Primarily critical thinking, integrative learning, diversity, and then a reinforcement of some basic kind of foundational skill. So in every gen ed course, you may not be doing all of these in every gen ed course, but you should be writing, speaking, working with some numbers, working with data, and doing that consistently. All right. So what are we proposing? We're proposing that this goes into effect for the 25-26 academic year and catalog. So what that means is new students would fall under the new set of requirements. Existing students could opt in to the new requirements and the new catalog if they so desired, but they would have to follow everything else in the new catalog as well. But that's kind of the tentative timeline that we're kind of targeting right now. Next slide. Basically just what I said, just in a different format. Anything different on here? So right now, in many cases, students have the opportunity to take multiple different courses from a particular prefix. So what that means is maybe I really love geography and I can search through all the gen eds and I can take a gen ed for this requirement, then or geography course for this requirement, then I go and take a geography course for this requirement, and then a geography course for this requirement, and I might do that multiple times. We think it's important that students have a breadth of perspective from gen ed. So we're trying to limit the number in gen ed that students can take from any single discipline. Now we're going to have more elective room because we're reducing the hours. So if you want to take more geography courses, go for it, right? But as part of the gen ed piece, we think that breadth is very, very important. All right, next slide. Here are just the outcomes, and I won't bore you with these too much. You can read about them in the full document. But again, every gen ed course we think should do outcomes 1 through 3: integrative learning, critical thinking, and diversity. Every single gen ed course, whether you're, social science, humanities, arts, you name it. And then we have these content specific outcomes, outcomes 4 through 7, similar to our existing fundamental skills, writing, speaking, etc. Breadth of knowledge, social science, humanities, natural science, arts. Notice we are breaking out arts as a distinctive category. This used to be just lumped under humanities and fine arts. But we think the arts are distinctively important, just like social science, natural science, etc. Very unique perspective on the world around us and societies around the world. And right now, there's no guarantee that students will take a course in the arts. And then some focus on individual social responsibility, cultural knowledge, and then specific discourse in society. Next slide. All right, next steps. Soliciting campus feedback. That's why I'm here. So we can talk after I'm done speaking, but really I'd like you to kind of dig into that document and provide some feedback. I have given campus a deadline of October 11th for feedback, and then we'll move forward from there. The sooner, the better, but no later than October 11th. And then we will be seeking endorsement from stakeholder groups. This may occur before the 11th. It may occur after the 11th. But some of those key stakeholder groups, for example, are the academic colleges, the faculty senate, academic advising, this group. And so, these are all important stakeholders that we'll be engaging with over the coming weeks. Next slide. I think that might be it. Okay. Questions. There's a lot more detail in the document, but that's kind of where we're at. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Cool, thanks, Garrett. Yeah, so I haven't had time yet to dive into that document, but I'm curious, how would this new categorization system for gen ed requirements impact course selection and the catalog of courses available?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And I think it's probably a multiple part answer. So obviously what we are going to have to do first, right, is we're going to have this set of essentially, it's 10 content related outcomes, right? So 10 categories, one course each for each of the categories. And so what we'll be doing, assuming that this, garners campus-wide support, we will be working through the later part of the fall and the spring as the catalog is being updated to migrate our existing courses to the new set of requirements because we know that every students have to have courses to take. That may be an imperfect like matching at first, but then over the course of probably 3 to 4 years, we will have every course that's part of Gen Ed undergo kind of a recertification or reapproval process to make sure that one, that they're adhering to the new set of expectations and requirements, or maybe two, units, departments, programs, they want to create new courses as part of the curriculum. So, you know, it's going to be a multi-year process, but beginning in fall of 25, we will have the new set of outcomes, requirements, and then those will be populated with our existing Gen Ed courses. And so we'll work with the colleges to identify where do the courses most logically belong, even if it's not perfect. And then over the course of another 2 to 3 years, we'll be actually recertifying and reapproving courses. Some courses probably won't elect to be submitted for reapproval, but some will. So, yes.
Hi, I apologize if you already answered, but are you lowering the overall number of credit hours needed to graduate, or did you say you're expanding a different area, or how would that work?
Yeah, so the Gen Ed committee has really no influence over the number of credits required to graduate. That's 120 hours. That's what the Board of Regents has established as kind of the maximum or the optimum number of credits. What we're doing is we're lowering the number of Gen Ed requirements within that 120 from 46 to 34. And so that means that those additional 12 credit hours can either be utilized by an academic program, or what we hope is that that will be just 12 credit hours of elective for students to do whatever they want to do with that. Take whatever course they want to take for whatever reason. And so that's kind of the hope moving forward. Yes.
Sorry, thank you for coming to speak to us, by the way, but I have a request of information. Did we ever receive that document for this new curriculum, or where can we find that specifically? Yes.
So I just sent it, I think, last night or yesterday. So it was a little bit
Okay.
tardy on that, and that was probably my fault. But
Okay.
but yeah, I did forward it. It just probably hasn't made its way through you all yet.
Okay, sounds good. I'm looking for it in my email now. Oh, okay, I see. Sorry, guys.
Yes. Yes.
Are you guys gonna make it easier or more accessible for transfer students? For example, like, but students transferring to UNK, like for any gen ed courses, are you guys gonna make them like cross-listed? I don't know if that's like the correct term.
Yeah, so we can't really like cross list from across institutions, but there are a couple things that we're doing. So one, just the alignment of our requirements will help facilitate that, right? So for example, now a student may come from Lincoln, let's say, and they've completed most of their gen eds perhaps, and then they come here and we say, you know what, it's great you did that at Lincoln, but here we have a whole different set of gen ed requirements, therefore you're going to have to do a whole different set of courses. So just having the more aligned curriculum will help. We're also doing some other things, and we've done these already. So you may or may not know that just recently a policy was approved that any student that arrives at UNO with a completed associate's degree from another institution will have satisfied their gen ed requirements. So that's another thing we're doing. We are also working pretty extensively right now with Metro Community College in particular, but all the community colleges in the state, to build what are called academic transfer pathways, where students, if they know, for example, I want to go to UNO and be a business major, we identify a specific sequence of courses they can take to minimize any kind of transfer loss in that experience. So a number of things that we're doing, and this is just one piece of that as well. Good question. Yes.
So I know you were talking about like over the course of like multiple years, it's going to be a recertification process to make sure these courses are like fitting within their most like logical like paths. But in terms of like trying to teach these like good fundamental skills of like logical thinking, critical reasoning, communication, all of those. How are like professors being instructed to re-examine how they teach their classes and what exactly like they're asking of students to develop those skills over the course of like gen eds or like skill?
Yeah, super great question. And in fact, very insightful. And so as we've gone through this process, one of the things we've always said is we can create the most amazing set of requirements, right? But if there's not a bit of a culture change on campus, then that will all be for naught, right? And so we think it's really, really important that we build an active, supported, resourced, and engaged faculty culture around gen ed. And so one of the things that we are doing even this semester, but it will probably ramp up as we find some additional resources in the next like 2 to 3 academic years. But we are starting a professional learning community for faculty teaching gen ed. And that entails a number of engagements over the course of a semester where we work with them to identify what are the goals and aims of gen ed, right? What are some innovative kind of delivery techniques? How do we build assignments in gen ed that do those very things that I was talking about? And so the idea is that ultimately, eventually, any teacher that teaches gen ed will have an opportunity to participate in this kind of professional learning community and have support to like think about how do I do these courses in a different way that are most relevant for the general student, right? The student who may never take another geography course again, but is still an important kind of perspective for them to try to navigate. So I remember when I was a student, I would take a course, it would be like, intro to whatever. And I can never quite understand why that course was trying to prepare me so deeply for the next course in the sequence when I was probably not going to take the next course in the sequence, right? And so I think that's what we want to think about gen ed is if you're going to take one class in, whatever, sociology, anthropology, how do we need to structure that in a way that students are knowingly and intentionally developing their critical thinking skills, intentionally integrating knowledge, intentionally grappling with diversity. That's the important thing that students get out of those classes, right? Not necessarily because it's preparing them for course number 2 in the sequence, which they may never take. All right. So does that help? Make sense? Yes.
Okay, so how gen ed works right now, there's a lot of ways to like get your gen ed credits waived, like through placement exams and through ACT scores, which can make college a lot more affordable and accessible for people. So kind of the way I understood your presentation was we're trying to make sure that everybody is taking all of their gen eds and not double dipping in any disciplines. I was just wondering, are those kind of ways to waive those gonna go to the wayside, or are they sticking around?
Yeah, no, those will still be sticking around. Like I can't imagine we would ever do anything with the like AP, placement process. I also am heavily involved in dual enrollment on campus, so I'm very familiar with that program. We have a lot of students who engage in dual enrollment. So yeah, those are always going to be important avenues for students to navigate their kind of curricular requirements. But we do think that if a student is going to be on campus taking a gen ed course, that those they should be distinctive. They should be unique. They should, be distinctively gen ed in purpose, intent, form, focus, all those kind of things. Somebody else had their hand up? Yes.
I have a question about advisors because I think they play a big role in our kind of education and where we go with classes. Is this also going to place like boundaries for advisors and give them a little bit more of like a leeway of where to put students? Because I feel like when it's gen eds, they don't really know where to place students sometimes, and they kind of just place them in the classes that are just kind of available to them instead of like going into the classes that actually suit their major. Does that change anything with advisory and putting students in classes?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And advisors are probably one of the most important elements of this whole thing in some ways, right? And on the Gen Ed committee, we have 3 actually academic advisors who kind of help us think through what this could look like. And so I think it's really important, one, that they help us communicate what Gen Ed should be about the students effectively. And I don't think I've done a very good job of that. I don't think the institution have done a great job of supporting advisors in helping students navigate those curricular requirements. Because I do know that happens a lot. Students come in and they're like, well, here's a course that fits a requirement. Let's do that, right? One of the things that we're trying to think through, and we're doing it with the advisors, is how do we communicate what these courses are about in different ways, right? So for example, rather than just seeing a course number and title and description, like maybe we could include things like, what is the big enduring question that this course is going to address throughout the course of this semester, right? How is this course going to reinforce these types of skills? How is this course going to, reinforce integrative learning? So a student, rather than just kind of blindly picking a course or a topic they may have no perspective on, they can look at a question and go, well, that question is really interesting to me.
We
I-
have 5 minutes left for guest speakers.
I really want to, develop these skills, and this course is going to do that. So I think there's definitely a lot of work that we're doing with advisors to help kind of contextualize things for students.
Thank you.
Yep. No other questions? Okay. So I think you have my contact info probably, right? If you can share that with everyone in here. If any of you have questions or just want to, grab a cup of coffee or something on campus or set up a phone call and talk about Gen Ed, I'm more than happy to do that. But again, I would really appreciate one, feedback, but also an endorsement from your kind of body. If this is a direction that you are excited to move in, that would be, I think, great. So, anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
What do we do? There's the, oh, there it is. All right. Awesome. Okay. Our next item of business is reports from officers. Regent Audidum's report is on the screen. Awesome. And then for my report, we do have a vacancy in the College of Business Administration. Director of Recruitment, Chloe Hammond, and I are currently just focusing on like our scheduling just to interview our senator candidates. And then for next week, we're going to be having circuit meeting. What we're going to be encompassing in the circuit meeting is the first hour will be just a professional development, just for you all, just to like know what is Robert's Rule of Orders, SJ bylaws, and as well as the policy index. And the purpose of like the professional development is just for you all to like have like an understanding of like what your rights are as student senators. And after the first hour of professional development, then you guys will be breaking off to your respected committee groups. And then that will just be an hour of discussion. And for that next meeting, it will be nominating the chairs for the committees. So definitely, if you are interested in becoming a chair of the committee, please prepare, just discuss with it among your committee groups. And that is for the circuit meetings. And I do want to like highlight attendance points. There is 4 attendance points that each senator has. It was brought to my attention that some senators have already like used 2 of their attendance points. So just be mindful of your attendance point, because the 5th attendance points will be an automatic removal from the Student Government Association. And if you believe that this is unjustified, please take your matters to student court so they're able to like conduct that hearing. So yeah, so that is my report. Oh, Senator Valladares.
Is it 4 per semester or 4 throughout the whole year?
It will be 4 throughout the whole year.
Okay.
It is.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. It doesn't say.
It says somewhere, there's like another different attendance section somewhere.
Senator Valadares, I can send you an email or I can just send an email to like everyone if it's gonna be semesterly or yearly. Yeah. And then there, may we have Chief of Staff Nate Bostic's report.
Thank you. Okay, hi, so I got really just a couple of things. I've been working on new financial policy, which I'd like to be presenting kind of at our next committee circuit meeting, at least a draft of that to the rules committee and also probably the budget committee as well, just to kind of solicit some feedback on that. It's really kind of changing around how accessing our reserves works because the situation around that has just kind of changed a lot with the folding of agencies under our budget and the additional full funding of student legal services. So I have a proposal that will give us a little bit more flexibility around that. Additionally, we've gotten communicated what our first reserves number is. So as it stands, we have approximately $325,000 in the reserves account right now. With the totality of our budget being about I think it's about $467,000. So under current financial policy, we do not have access to those reserves except in the listed circumstances, which you can find in the policy index. So I'm working on that. So rules committee, budget committee, you have that to kind of look forward to. I'll send you those drafts as I finish them up. Then additionally, I've had a couple of leadership kind of opportunities which have been sent my way. Really kind of looking for people. So the first one of them is the Metro Transit. This is Metro Omaha. They have a transit advisory committee that advises on like some level of like strategic planning, just kind of like citizen input. They do appeals for some other past stuff and really just like look at public transportation in Omaha and work on that. So I believe it's year round. It's a once a month meeting, I believe Wednesday nights. So if you're interested, I can send you the application for that committee. The Women's Fund of Omaha, they're doing an emerging leaders circle, which is for kind of young people age 18 to 25. You apply and then you kind of get into a cohort with other young leaders and it's really an opportunity. I believe it runs through it's like October. I think it's like October through January. I don't remember the exact time, but it's a couple of months and I've not participated in the program, but I've heard really good things about it and it's a really strong just developmental program that's available. I believe those meetings are once a week. And then there's an Amplifying Student Voices event, which this one I had the easiest access to. So I actually in sending that in the Teams chat right now, but this event is from the National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education. And it's a partnership with the American Association of Colleges and Universities. They're doing a Truth, Racial Healing, Transformation Campus Centers program. So they're having a national kind of convening of over 400 student leaders to engage in just kind of facilitated dialogue about the future of student belonging, diversity, and equity in higher education, and to really kind of examine student perspectives on how that impacts our democracy. So there's events for that. I sent the application link in the chat. Is looking to send at least 12 students to that event. So if you're interested in going, you can fill out the application and indicate UNO as your preferred host location and try to do this. The application actually closes tomorrow night. So if you're able to do it before then, if interested, that'll be cool. And the days for that is there's a training on September 18th and then the event is on Saturday, October 5th. And it'll be in the CEC. And lunch is also provided. It's free too, of course. Yeah, free food. And that's all I got.
Our next item of business is reports from executives. May we have the Director of Administration Gonzalez report?
Hello, everyone. So I have two items on my report. One of them is the brainstorming of more organized ways to take attendance. So obviously the very first meeting was very chaotic. We struggled quite a bit to get attendance done properly. I have a new system implemented this meeting that I think is working a lot better. However, if you guys were not here when I took attendance, please do come visit me after the meeting is done because I need to get your name down. I see a couple new faces that I didn't see before, so I think you know who you are. Just please come down. And then the second thing I've been working on is I met with Vice President Ramirez to discuss dedication points, now referred to as illuminating points. And I created a punch card for those points, which you are seeing displayed right now. Any opinions that you have on that card, any ways that you wish to see it modified, please do feel free to speak to me. I would love to hear what you have to say. I also sent out a survey regarding Illuminate points. I have only gotten 5 responses on that. And I would like it if we all took the time right now to get those responses in while we have it. You don't have to do anything super complicated. I just want to hear what you guys think.
Now may we have the Director of DEIA's report?
So I'm gonna go through the 4 agency reports.
Oh, never mind. I'm just insane.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, I was gonna say you guys hear me. So first off is AMS report. So, what is needed from the Senate and then Civic Engagement Committee. So WGEC and AMS, I believe the other agencies are going in on the candidate forum that was mentioned last time. So they will need volunteers for the forum. So if anyone from Senate is interested, please reach out to Jonathan Bailey and Jess Fernandez Barrazo regarding that. If you are on the Civic Engagement Committee, they are looking for people to help with voter registration, info tables at the academic buildings and dorms, and would also like to work with the members on that committee to put together a resource and voter information guide to hand out to students as well. For FGSA, they have a lot of fun things planned this month. So tomorrow they do have a potluck. I see Jerry and Vivian right over there. So it's gonna be exciting. It's at Elmwood Park at 4:30 to 6:30. And then next week on the 18th, they're having their first Wednesday workshop, which is a collaboration with the art club. QTS. So what is needed? So the Lawrence is proposing a resolution regarding agency budgets. So I think Lawrence already has a line with the rules committee, is what he told me. So just be on the lookout for that. And then also they are requesting for maybe some assistance in navigating the process of submitting a resolution as well. So if you're interested in doing that, please reach out to Lawrence Wilson. And then lastly, for WGEC, also similar, they have notes regarding the candidate forum, having help with that, and then also putting the word out for their clothesline workshop. I posted that in the Teams group chat. They do have 2 workshop dates coming up, so you can look at that Teams message and then also share that around. And then other events that they will be holding for abortion happening later in October, and then passing the letter of commendation for GSSC staff tonight.
And since we do not have a Director of Finance right now, may we have the Director of Integrity, Conley's report?
Hi, everyone. So my big thing this week is there's a resolution later about Election Day that we'll talk about then. That's what I've been working on with Senator Rye. Did I say your name right? Okay, great. And Jonna Bailey this week. So we're excited to talk to you guys. Well, I'm excited to talk to you guys about that later. And then I have been intensely studying Robert's rules still to try and make sure I can do this job properly. So that's it for me.
May we have the Director of Leadership Development, Sarah Losso's report?
Hi, guys. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Well, what I've been doing,
That makes it confusing.
Yeah. So, oh, that's so much better. So, what I've been doing is I announced last week the members of FYLC, 15 members actually, so it's not 16 anymore. But, we also had our first meeting today, which went really well. I am super excited. What else do I have on there? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm really excited about what the year will bring. They're very, very strong members and I'm excited to work with each of them. And also one more thing, I am going to send a mentor mentee form for the senators so that we can have you guys mentor the youngins of FYLC. So yeah. Anyway, thank you.
May we have the Director of Marketing, Anthony's Myers report?
Likes the post on Instagram, people. Okay, first off, if you don't follow the Instagram, shame on you. I say shame on you. Okay, so first off, then second, follow the Instagram if you haven't already. Like the post I've posted this week. We're doing the member spotlights. For Monday, we did the Regent, VP, and Chief of Staff. And then yesterday we did exec directors. Tomorrow I'm gonna do like a bike share post, a video thing. We did a time lapse, pretty cool. But next week we're doing the senator spotlight, and so you're all gonna be featured on Instagram, like I've been telling you and emailing you about. Yeah.
May we have the Director of Recruitment, Chloe Hammond's report?
I say hi everyone. I hope you're doing well. This past week I've had a lot of meetings, and then hopefully next week I'll be able to meet with some senator candidates for the College of Public Affairs and Community Service, the College of Business, as well as a graduate student. So that should be pretty good. We also have someone who's interested in becoming a coordinator. So I think I'll be meeting with them next week as well. And then we need applicants for the publication board. Director of Marketing Mai has posted a post on Instagram. So if you could share that, I'd greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I've met with one student. I also think I'll be meeting with one more next week, but 2 is not enough. So if you know anyone who's interested, please get them in contact with me. Thank you.
May we have the Coordinator of Student Wellness, Carlos Irizarry's Gums report?
Yes, well, I've been working on now the visual vision for the student resource guide that will go along with student resource guide 2.0 next week. All exec team will receive this tomorrow. All senators will receive this Tuesday with my big email for all you guys. And then also I've been working on a survey, and it got sent out to all student organizations this Wednesday. And if you're part of a student organization besides student government, this has been sent out, and I do encourage you guys to please encourage your members and your exec and officers to fill it out. This will help student government be able to assess student wellness within those organizations and also connect with them more as the Student Government Association. And also I've been, even though it's not here, I've been able to connect more with Greek Life, Student Wellness Coordinator, and I'm excited about those developments. You will all know about this more in October.
Our next item of business is reports from committees, but since we do not have committees, now our next item of business is report from Student Government Advisor, Paige Paxson.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay, great. Well, happy third week of classes, everyone. So for my report, presents will officially be switching over to Engage in the coming weeks. I'm sure you're all so excited. I can see it on your faces. It will be called Mav Sync. So just be looking out for the emails. I know our office is working really, really hard to get everything squared away for that. Thank you to those senators that have scheduled a one-on-one with me. I genuinely have enjoyed it and look forward to them every single day. So if you have not done so yet, please, please, please do so ASAP. And then there were some of you that I did need to reschedule. So if I reached out to you, could you please confirm that we're good to go? And then more technology, SharePoint reorganization is happening. So if for whatever reason you are kicked out of the SharePoint, the Student Senate SharePoint, please send me an email and I will get you back in there as soon as possible. And then I will be out of office next Tuesday through Friday at a mediation training. I do plan to be here for circuit meeting next Thursday, and I will have access to my email, but it will be limited should you need anything. And then just one more thing that I wanted to highlight is Latin Heritage Month is kicking off next week. So Tuesday on the 17th from 12 to 1 p.m. in the Milo Bell Atrium. It will be the kickoff event. The Office of Student, the SLII office has been working really hard, specifically Brittany in our office, and she's been doing a great job. So I hope to see you all there. But thank you.
Our next item of the agenda is unfinished business. Under unfinished business, we have SR 24-25-004. Is there a proponent speech? Proponent, right? Or- Yeah, there's, okay. And then the certification review has been turned in.
Hello, I'm sharing this speech on behalf of WGC Director Jess Fernandez-Orazo. She fortunately couldn't make it tonight, but she wanted to share with you all this speech. So I think the resolution speaks for itself, but I want to ensure that the importance of showing gratitude for the former staff of the GSRC is fully understood. Since its closure during this past summer, there's been widespread public outcry in support of the GSRC and against administration's decision to shut it down. The GSRC was a vital pillar of the UNO community as well as the wider Omaha community. It served a wide range of marginalized students for whom other support systems are often inadequate. As mentioned in the resolution, some parents have ruled out UNO as an option entirely for their children, and frankly, I'm not surprised. This isn't the first time administration has carried out attacks on DE&I programs, which was also discussed in the resolution, and I can say with near absolute certainty that it will not be the last. They have made it abundantly clear that they won't protect these programs, so it must then fall on student government to demand change. Passing this resolution is a crucial first step to enacting that change. By showing our support for the GSRC and its staff, we let them know that we genuinely care for students and that we will not accept actions that cause them direct harm. The GSRC was responsible for some of the most important events and services on campus, such as the bystander training program, HIV/STI testing days, name change clinics, and programming for Women's History Month, Transgender Day of Remembrance, Pride Month, and numerous others which are covered in the resolution. This resolution alone likely won't be enough to bring it back from its untimely death, but every single member of the GSRC staff deserves to be recognized and applauded for their hard work and dedication to the students of UNO. Each of you has chosen to take on the responsibility of representing the students of respective colleges, and I implore you all to act in the best interest of your constituents. Thank you all for your time.
Now we're on to a period of questioning. Is there any questioning for SR 24-25-004? If there's no period of questioning, now we're on to a period of discussion. Is there a period of discussion for SR 24-25-004? Senator Hirschbaum Harding.
I've had a motion for an amendment. I think somewhere near the end, it says formerly, and it was supposed to say formally, because it says that we're formally it says in this, therefore be it further resolved, it says that SGA formally recognizes, and I think it was meant to say formally, which would have been a question I asked, but I'm just kind of presuming since the author is not present. So I'm motioning to change that word. Sorry, I should have said the actual motion. I was trying to go for there. So I'm changing the word formerly to formally so that it reads SGA formally recognizes the GSRC staff's unwavering support. In both clauses, because it says it twice.
There is a motion. It's seconded by Senator Piper. Now we're on to a period of voting to change formally to formally. No, go ahead. All those in favor, please raise your placards. 15. And then all those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay, the motion is adopted. Okay, Senator Hirschbaum Harding.
I'm motioning to make another change, but this one requires a little bit more justification.
I'm motioning to remove the portion where it says despite what Trent Frederickson is saying. I think that while I agree with everything else that's happening in this section and the fact that we are saying that it was well utilized, it feels a little bit inappropriate to stick that clause in there when this is supposed to be resolution that's focusing on the good that these workers and that these people have done. It just feels like a jab that isn't quite conducive to the tone of the rest of the letter. That feels like it's kind of a separate thing where it's like addressing some of the misinformation or addressing what we believe is maybe dishonesty or inconsiderate verbiage from other people. I just think that it's not quite appropriate in the spot that it's in. And I worry that, especially for former staff, it might be uncomfortable to have that line in there because I don't know how they feel about a jab being put in something that's just supposed to be a letter of commendation. So I would say I feel that we should be removing that section just that says, despite what Trent Frederickson is saying, Appendix D, just so that we can make sure that this is focusing more on the positive things that these people have done and the loss of the wonderful things that they did for our campus, rather than just kind of adding a jab into what is supposed to be focusing on the good things that they have done.
It is Senator Rangel to strike despite.
Just the section that says, so it would be from the comma to the like hyphen, despite what Frederickson is saying, Appendix D. Just striking
Oh,
it.
okay, gotcha. To strike it. Okay. Chief of Staff Ostick.
On a contrary and perhaps less serious perspective, I think it would be really funny to have that in the historical record. Going down.
Senator Hirschbaum Harding.
Well, I'm not disagreeing that it might be. I'm not saying that it isn't maybe a quip that we want to express ourselves personally. My worry is just adding it into something that is really supposed to be focusing on the good that these people did and the loss of that. I don't want there to be any chance that people are looking at this and seeing it as something that is more vindictive instead of a letter of commendation. Like if this were a letter that it's just like a letter of I'm mad, I wouldn't be mad about that being in there. You know, like if it were just a statement of our frustration, put it in there. But I think since it's supposed to be a letter of commendation, it just feels like a weird shift in tone momentarily when the rest of it is just being like, wow, look at how wonderful these people are and how much we miss them and their unwavering support.
Is there a period of questioning to strike despite what Trent Frederickson is saying, Appendix D? If there's no further questioning, now we're on to a period of voting to strike. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Then all those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay. The motion to strike is adopted.
Also remove the comma.
The comma. Okay, like that. Is there a period of this? Now we're on to a period of discussion for the resolution. If there's no period of discussion, now we're on to a period of voting on SR 2425-004. All those in favor, please raise your placards. And then all those opposed, please raise your placards. In the opinion of the chair, SR 2425-004 has passed. Ready. Awesome. Okay. Now. Okay, our next item of business is new business. Is there a proponent speech for SR 2425-006?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. Is that? Interesting. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Oh. Hi, okay. How are y'all doing tonight? Y'all having a fun meeting? Everything so far? All right, awesome. So what I'm here tonight to talk to you about is a resolution that I've been working on for the last week and an issue that I've just kind of been engaged on with advocacy for the past year or so. That is maybe unfamiliar to many of you, but is something that is important to me and I think very interesting. So this is Students for UAP Transparency. So I will just preface and say that there's going to be a lot of acronyms. So please be willing to like shout out and honestly ask questions as we are going through this. I, want to be there to be able to be a resource and to answer questions and the like. So going next, I guess the objective, some of you might be wondering, what are UAP? What does that mean? So UAP stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. It is defined as objects or devices in space, atmosphere, or underwater that exhibit characteristics or performance not readily explainable by known technology or natural phenomena. Historically, these have been known as a lot of different things. Flying saucers, UFOs is a big one. And also a couple of other less, unidentified aerial phenomena, each of these things. Alien spacecraft. They've been known as a lot of different terms throughout history over the last many years. But UAP has kind of become the new term that's been adopted to talk about them in a way that's a little bit less stigmatizing because they are something that tend to occur where people see fantastic things in the sky and they're not quite sure what to call them. So this new terminology just kind of reflects the fact that they have been sighted both in the atmosphere, underwater, as well as in outer space. So an example of a video of what one of these looks like, this is a fairly well-known video that's been, it'll play. Maybe it won't play. And if it doesn't play, that's okay. That has been kind of well-known and seen just across a lot of the media and the conversation around this. It's a video that was filmed in 2015 by some F-18 fighter jets off the coast of Virginia, where it shows some object or whatever you want to call it. People have speculated that perhaps it's a plane, perhaps it's something strange. But when you listen to the testimony of the pilots who were there and the additional context surrounding this, it very quickly becomes one of the most well-known examples of one of these encounters where there's some object that's moving in a way that just cannot be easily explained. So some of the people who have just kind of talked about this, an example of what they're talking about, here's a former director of the CIA, John Brennan, who's talking about that some of the phenomena that they're seeing continues to be unexplained, referring to instances of these video. It's something that we don't understand and may involve some type of activity that some may say constitutes another form of life. Here's the director of national intelligence, who's currently kind of like, if you think about like the top person gathering that information for the US government, that's her currently, where she is speculating that we don't understand what they are, and they may in fact come extraterrestrially. So here, and this is the final one. Here we actually have talking about this video, former President Barack Obama. And he iterates, he began the segment, he was asked, this is on like Jimmy Kimmel or something. He got asked a joke, at the beginning. And he joked about like Area 51 and finding that. But then he doubled down and was being serious. I mean, he says, he's being serious that there are objects and records of things in the sky that really just can't be explained, how they're moving. And this is with people who have investigated and looked into it and have a hell of a lot better, mind my language, imagery than what we have access to. And so there it is, just supporting the idea that this is something that we should investigate and try to figure out what it is. So if we have this big problem, how do we come to understand what this is? And I guess we can do, I'll do a little, just like shout it out if you have an idea. Yeah, I also have an idea. So my idea here, collaboration. That's the big one. Collaboration, we gotta work together. So that's what brings me to the UAP Disclosure Act. The UAP Disclosure Act, also called the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act, was a piece of legislation introduced by Senator Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, last year over the summer. The object of the act is it's an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, which is important, but it's not important to the content of it. It's just how it gets passed. It's a big defense spending bill that like fills everything. It's one small amendment as a part to it. It calls for greater transparency about unidentified anomalous phenomena, non-human intelligence, and technologies of unknown origin. It alleges that there's been information about UAP that has been improperly withheld from the public and Congress by elements of the executive branch and the military. It then creates a review board that consists of interdisciplinary experts across a broad range of things to review all of the information that the United States government has accumulated over the years on UAP, which includes a historian, a foreign service expert, national security expert, an economist, a sociologist, and an either scientist or engineer. There's additionally 3 spots on the board left for additional members of the board, but they are not designated a specific profession or expertise. And the idea of this is to go through whatever information there has and to create a controlled disclosure plan for what the United States government has to then reveal it to the public. So here, there's going to be like probably some ad beforehand, so I apologize about that. Looks like there's not. So I'm just going to play the first minute of this clip here, just so you can see some of this. This is from December 2023, and it's Senator Schumer and Senator Rounds talking about this act. So that's just a little bit of that clip there. Just kind of showing that this is something that the Senate Majority Leader has made a priority. If you're not aware, Senator Rounds is also a member of, he's of the other party, he's a Republican, and this has been a bipartisan consensus. The legislation has seen co-sponsors and people signing on to it from really kind of all sides of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Marco Rubio, if you may know her, Kirsten Gillibrand, really just kind of a very large coalition of people in the Senate who want to kind of move forward with this and try to make it more, bring more transparency to this issue for the American public. But it still faces some uphill legislative claims. So bit of timeline here is introduced in July 2023 by Schumer and Rounds. It was as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act of 2024. But then in December 2023, which he was going to go into later in that video, during a House conference. So the Senate passes their version of the bill and the House passes their version. The Senate version included this legislation, but the House version did not. And during conference, there was lobbying against this bill from some House congressmen, as well as portions of the Pentagon. And important provisions were stripped from this, including definitions, the Presidential Review Board, and the list of exemptions of material that was required to be submitted to the National Archives grew and became about a mile long. And additionally, enforcement of said collection of records would be done by the very agencies who are holding records. not satisfied with how that version was passed. It was reintroduced in summer 2024, this time with Senator Rounds as the main sponsor of it, with Schumer as a co-sponsor. And it is likely going to be up for a vote in some form in Senate. I say later this year, but it may actually be next week, which is some of the urgency and the time sensitivity of this. Because you may be asking though, how does this affect us? We're in Nebraska. So 2 of our elected representatives, Senator Deb Fisher and Congressman Don Bacon, each sit on their respective armed services committees. Each of them in communications before, Senator Deb Fisher more so than Bacon, I admit. She's been more communicative about this issue and has staff that's paying attention to it. And so it's an issue that is on each of their radars, at least to an extent. So the objective of this resolution is to really say that this is something that is important and that we would like to see passed, and to make it a priority to include in this upcoming year's NDAA, and to really just, put pressure on each of our elected officials, saying that this is something as young people that, regardless of the ultimate origin of each of these things, we believe that the government should be more transparent about this, that there's been damage in trust in institutions as a result of conspiracy theories and other things that have spread around this topic. And it is time to basically come clean and really have an open discussion. So with that, I will open it up to questions.
You guys start the mic out there.
Yeah, Senator Benitez.
Yeah, so realistically, for like, what would be the point of us like passing this resolution? Like, is it gonna amount to anything for the students or the people that come here and like, pay tuition and stuff like that? Will they like, what are they gonna gain out of this realistically?
So one of the goals of this is to really kind of deliver a letter with the with the resolution attached, and a letter which you can see it's actually attached to the resolution there. Anyone who would like to sign on to it can additionally sign on to it. I plan on delivering them each to their Omaha offices to really kind of let them know, as well as through email correspondence and phone calls. I've had kind of a running discussion going with one of Senator Fisher's staffers, just kind of like about this issue. And it's really saying that this is something that's important to the students at UNO. And I guess I'm really asking for you all as senators to make a value judgment as to, is this something as far as the direction of the country, like not just here, us at UNO, but like with our ability as a representative body of a much larger group of people, is this something that we want to make kind of like really push for change in this area? I also kind of hope that this could be a model for future legislative inquiries where the Senate looks to take a position on particular issues, as it's a fairly, it's bipartisan. It's not super controversial as far as like the content of it goes. And there's a lot of emphasis from either side. So maybe moving forward, if there's some other legislation in the future, we could perhaps use this kind of model resolution to achieve those ends, if that sort of answers your question. Yeah, Senator John.
Oh, how did you find out about this and like want to further investigate?
Yeah, so that's kind of so like obviously as a kid, I was really into like science fiction and stuff, and like, like unexplained. I was like really into like the Loch Ness Monster or whatever. I don't really care about the Loch Ness Monster anymore, but like, sorry to any Nessie fans out there, but really that kind of started as a kid. But then it was in 2017, the New York Times kind of came out with an article detailing that despite the fact that the Pentagon was denying for years that they stopped investigating UFOs or UAPs, that they actually had a program that had been running for at least the last decade investigating it. And that's when those videos kind of came out. I didn't really think all that much of it though until 2021, when the Navy later on came out and confirmed that those videos were in fact authentic. And things kind of just, I hear little bits and pieces in the news started to snowball from there, where it turns out that a new, they called it the UAP task force, got set up as a cross-disciplinary group between the intelligence community and parts of the military. And then Congress passed laws making it so whistleblowers from UAP programs had additional protections on them. And then it kind of came to a head last year during the summer. There was I don't know if you call it, there's a inspector general report which was filed in the congressional testimonies where I was like, I want to learn more about this. And I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. But then when I saw that there's legislation being proposed and statements coming from people who like Chuck Schumer, I think Marco Rubio had one, as many of these other people who sit actually on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where they are the ones who have access to a lot more data than we do, just like sitting out here, because they have the proper security clearances to actually listen to whistleblowers and people who at least allege that they were on these very interesting programs. And so at that point, to me, it's like, I see it's, if you haven't checked it out, it's Appendix A. Those legislation's almost 60 pages. And it really kind of articulates how they believe that the secrecy is being taken care of and what evidence they suspect is out there. And I just figured it's like almost an injustice at this point that this is an issue that people have either been ridiculed, and I understandably so to an extent, but for decades about this, when there may actually have been something. And if the government itself is, engaging in some of that, I'm like, it just seems kind of like an injustice. Yeah, Senator Hirschbaum Harding.
I'm all for government transparency, so I like it as a concept, even if it may seem like a more odd topic for us to focus on. Government transparency is good. Transparency is good all around. This is not meant as a facetious question, but it might sound silly. There's no way we can get in trouble for like telling the government we want information about UFOs, right? Like,
absolutely not.
Okay.
The dam is broken. A lot of people, there's been fairly a big push for this.
Okay.
And I mean, I gotta say, I've called my Congress people a number of times, and I've not faced any blowback other than an occasional strange look. But really, ever since kind of 2017, but even with Obama coming out and saying those things and these other people in these positions, it's kind of been a tonal shift where it's like been an effort to reduce the stigma that people have been facing for talking about this and to actually take it seriously as a subject. And there's been a lot of really cool academic research that's been coming out as well, which if you're a nerd and you have the time, I mean, totally check it out. There's policy proposals for the UK. There's a study that was just conducted off of Long Island where they were able to find a number of ones, except they wouldn't appear to the naked eye, but they would appear on thermal, which interestingly enough, that video that we showed was actually thermal as well, where it wasn't the like actual optics of what's going on, but it's a heat thing. So it's an interesting phenomenon regardless of what it may actually be.
Period. Thank you.
Yes, Senator Engel.
So this is not really a question, but my dad actually has an obsession with UFOs as well. So if you put this proposal right in his face, he would be on board with this. So I think it's pretty cool that you're showing your other interests other than just like, what's going on in our school, but also what's going on in our government that's not really talked about a lot, even if it's niche and it's only, a special interest to you. Like, I think this is really cool and I think we should pass it.
Thank you. Yeah, you'll be able to tell your dad that it's like, hey, I voted for this. And yeah, cool. No. Oh. All right. I guess any other questions before I go sit back down? And if you want to talk more about this, we can talk after Senate.
Is there any discussion on the resolution? SR 24-25-006. Senator Benitez.
Here, I got it.
While I do think that it is good for us as students to demand transparency from government institutions, I do not think that something when it comes to this resolution in general, it would kind of make us look like we're asking for the wrong things, right? There's a lot more like important things in the world, such as, there's a genocide happening in Gaza, GSRC shutdown. I feel like we should really be working to find ways to think about that and push your resolutions that focus on that instead of pushing through resolutions about UFOs that seem mostly not asked by students. I feel like if our constituents aren't directly asking for something like this, then we shouldn't be to put in terms wasting time on it.
Senator John.
I like 100% see what you're saying, but like us passing this through right now, unless there's gonna be like follow up that like Nate or like anyone else wants to do with this, like this is relatively quick, and like he's not asking for money, he's not like asking us for any supplies or anything. It's like I don't, it's not really gonna hurt anybody if we pass this through. Like do whatever you want either way, but yeah, this is quick. This is not a big. I also see how it's like not anything like constituents are asking for, so it seems like a little bit random, but we're doing something. Yeah.
Senator Rangel.
Yeah, I agree. Because to be honest with you, like, yes, we have a lot of issues going on right now. I think this specific resolution has kind of not only we have taken a step back from all of the issues that we've been facing recently, but I also think like there's no harm in this in having something that you're passionate about, because that's what student government is about. Like we talk about things that are really, really important, and this is something that's really important to a constituent of the student body, even though he holds, a leadership position. This is something he's passionate about. So I don't think saying, well, there's other issues that we should be dealing with. I think this resolution is amazing and great. And even if it's not something that, you're passionate about or something you think should be, talked about, this is something that a student from the student body is talking about. And I wouldn't shut down a resolution just because it's not, something that I think is valid or logical or however you want to word this. So just saying.
Senator Smith.
First off, Nate, loved the presentation. It was really cool. The most interesting part of this to me is placing the framework of this body to be able to be in support of an official piece of legislation. I think that's a really huge implication that kind of unifies the points that everybody has been making. Brian talking about, there's more serious things going on. This gives us the framework to be able to be like, our government is doing this. We want to use our voice in support. So I think not only do I agree that I want to pass this resolution because of the merit of the resolution itself, but also because of what it could do for us as a body in the future.
Is there any other discussion? Senator Calaton Palacios.
I also see it as a way that we want transparency, we want access to information. And I think that's what we advocate for every single day. So that's just it.
Senator Hirschbaum Harding.
I kind of want to second that and say that if a big, it's true that there are more pressing issues that are happening around us, but a lot of where those issues have stemmed from, at least on a campus level, is a lack of transparency from the people above us and a lack of communication from them. And obviously, it's been a lack of communication about things that are probably more important, like firsthand for us as students. But I think it's on brand for us to be demanding transparency of the people above us. And if anything, it's making a statement that's like, I don't care what the transparency is about. You shouldn't be keeping things from us, whether that's us, your students, us, your constituents as lawmakers. And so, like, it might be a more bizarre thing for us to be asking for transparency about, but I think it's still in line with the fact that we are frustrated with the fact that people who have more power than us are not telling us things that might be relevant to us.
Is there any other discussion on SR 24-25-006? If there's no period discussion, now we're on to a period of voting. All those in favor, please raise your placards. And then all those opposed, please raise your placards. In the opinion of the chair, SR 24-25-006 pass. Okay. Okay. Our next item of new business is SR 24-25-007. Is there a proponent speech?
Hi, everyone. Okay, so first of all, thank you to Jonna Bailey. She wrote a lot of this and Senator Rye helped a lot. I just kind of looked at it. But anyway, so one of the things that I wanted to say for Jonna actually is she had asked me to tell you guys that this would help a lot of students in the UNO community, like herself, go and vote on election day. She lives, her home is about an hour away, so she votes about an hour away, and she has classes all day on the Tuesday, November 5th that we vote this year. And so this would help students like her be able to go and vote in person if that's what they so choose to do, and hopefully just allow for more engagement with voting this year. So in 2022, Nebraska as a whole, I couldn't find UNO specific data, but only 21.5% of voters aged 18 to 25 participated on election day. In 2020, it was a little higher, but we're pretty low on the national. We're like about midway in the national average. The highest state was Michigan, which was still only 37.5%. With that being said, as of this year, I think most people in here are Gen Z, but Gen Z is the largest voting bloc in the United States as of this year. We're 40 million people strong. We've taken over boomers. And so encouraging every single person that we can to get out and vote, not just to support our own policies and ideologies, but one of our UNO core values is community engagement. And a big part of that is civic engagement. So making sure that we're actively encouraging the student body to get out and vote, not just 54 days from today on election day, but in the future as well. So the goal is with this resolution, when I was talking to Regent Adidam, is this resolution would be specifically for this upcoming election. At least to my understanding, there are Omaha local elections next April and May. But the issue that we're going to have to work out is that the Omaha mayoral election falls in finals week. So the logistics of making that work might be a little tough to have classes canceled. But she's going to work with the regents and Chancellor Lee and some other people to see if there's a workaround for that. But I think it would be establishing a great precedent for them to have election days off of school, require that classes are canceled. We'd be the first NU university to do it, and we would also be the first university in the state of Nebraska to do it. Again, I think it's a great precedent. Other schools that have done it, Yale, UNC Chapel Hill, Notre Dame, they've seen a huge increase in the number of their students that have gone out to vote. The one study that I looked at Notre Dame, I believe it said they saw it was like a 75% increase in the number of students that went out and voted. So even if you're not actually going and voting on election day, I still think taking part in the civic process that we have here in the United States is still important. So I think that it's a great idea, and I hope you guys will consider voting for it. Any questions? Thank you.
Now we're on to a period of discussion for SR 24-25-007. Senator Rai.
I know that UNO offers a lot of services and resources regarding how to vote, but preventing students from going in person to vote is really doing opposite of what they're working hard on. So having an opportunity for students to be able to go out and actually vote in person is a great way to create civically engaged leaders and have them involved in processes in the government processes.
Senator Hirschbaum Harding.
I agree. I think it's frankly kind of ludicrous that at this point, it's not just standard that we host elections on a day where people don't have to work. We are supposed to be founded on the idea of people having representation once they're above a certain age. And I don't think that always rings true for a lot of reasons. But anything we can do to try and make it easier for students is something we should look into, especially considering the fact that some people need to travel a great distance because they have not changed their registration to Omaha. So they need to travel back to a home city. Also, if you have questions about how to change your registration to Omaha, if you live in Omaha and want to vote in this district, let me know. But I digress that it's kind of crazy that we make people jump through so many hoops for something that's supposed to be a fundamental right for them. And there's no reason that I should be sprinting to some random elementary school in the middle of all my classes and then potentially being late to required classes.
Senator John.
I want to start first by saying you did a really good job of like explaining everything, Garrett. I know you were just saying that like you didn't look at it that much, but like that was a really good like proponent speech. But also what you were saying about like the amount, like the data you were giving about the amount of people in our age range that vote, I think was just like it's kind of disheartening how many people our age like don't vote or don't take voting seriously, especially when like our country is so deeply rooted in the idea of democracy, and there are so many people all over the world who would love to be able to like vote for their legislation and their legal representatives and different things like that. So I think this is really important and a really great thing for the student body to show that like we care about their ability to be able to vote, and we want them to be like engaged with their representation, like obviously on a federal level, but also for like local things and like state things and all of that.
Senator Calaton Palacios.
Again, amazing resolution. Very proud. Point of information, are we allowed to host voting polls on campus?
Can someone from the audience answer the question? Director Conley.
Are you talking about like drop boxes, or are you talking about like a polling location?
Both.
I know that we've talked to the Douglas County Election Commissioner in the past about having UNO be a voting location or even just a drop for mail-in ballots. and they have not been super receptive to that conversation.
Are you able to tell me why?
I don't know that I have a good answer, mainly because I don't think their answer is very good. But they basically have said that they don't want to, they have some pretty set polling locations for the area around here, and so they don't want to change that. We could always broach the drop box again, having that on campus where you just get to drop a mail-in ballot and they pick it up. But I don't think that that will happen in the next, what is it, 54 days? That would probably be in the next year, that if we're gonna have that conversation, unfortunately.
Senator John?
Sorry, okay, so just to, like, clearly state this, there are no like polling places or anything like that on campus? Because I was told that Mammal Hall had like a polling station or something.
I actually don't know, but even with that being the case, you would have to be within that polling location. Like you would have to live within a certain distance of the polling location in order to be assigned that polling location.
Yes, because the people that have been on campus, just like walking around, like asking people if they're registered to vote, one of them was telling me that if you change your address to be, if you live on campus, you change your address to be your dorm address, you can vote on campus and they'll like resend you your yellow card and everything like that.
I'll check real quick online.
Maybe I was understanding them wrong also. So sorry if that's the case.
Is there any further discussion on SR 24-25-007? Senator Carlton Palacios?
Sorry, another question. What is the closest polling station to UNO?
Does someone from the audience can answer the question of Senator Carlton Palacios? Chief of Staff Ostick?
Yeah, one of the things that Director Conley sort of mentioned is it would be only relevant if your address that you're registered to vote at is UNO. But I think that there's one, I think St. Margaret Mary has, it's like one of the churches nearby, I think has one. I'm not sure if it's St. Margaret Mary or like one of these other ones, I'm pretty sure.
We can probably circle back around to it if somebody doesn't have the answer. Can somebody pass one of them the mic, pretty please?
Senator Smith?
If you live on Scott campus, there is one on Mammal. So if you live over there, I am on the Vote Douglas County, the polling place lookup website. So there is a polling place in Mammal, if that's your permanent address.
On Dodge campus or no?
I am not 1000% sure on the zip code for Dodge campus. So if somebody has that and wants to go in there and look that up. Is it, so it's the same? Okay.
Chief of Staff Ostick?
Yeah, so I got the answer there. So there are two close ones to Dodge campus. There's the Omaha Community Playhouse and then the First United Methodist Church. Those will be the two closest to Dodge campus.
Is there any further discussion on SR 24-25-007? I would like to present Regent Adidan's statement regarding next steps regarding the resolution. Is there any further discussion before we go into a period of voting? If there's no further discussion, now we're on to a period of voting. All those in favor, please raise your placards. And then all those opposed, please raise your placards. And the opinion of the chair, SR 24-25-007 has passed.
Everyone in here gonna vote now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Awesome. And then our next item of the agenda is good of the order. For this question is asking, what is your favorite condiment? Favorite condiment. Let's start
Who has the mic right now?
from the members of the audience.
Favorite condiments? I'm gonna be honest, I just know ketchup and mustard, and I'm gonna go for ketchup. I'm gonna be real. I'm a mustard hater, so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Hey, real quick in between people, I just want to say, make sure again, as usual, put your placards with your name badge and bring it up front after you've given your condiment, of course. And then if you did not check in with Director Gonzalez at the beginning, make sure you do that now. And I'm just want to say a point of personal privilege. I'm very proud of all of us for getting out of here before 9 o'clock. So.
I like ranch. Barbecue.
I don't know what it's called, but it's like some sweet and sour type of barbecue thing. I don't know. Tried it like 2 months ago.
Yo, I like the cane sauce. I just had canes today. It was delicious. Let me tell y'all, it was delicious.
Probably chimichurri or cholula. Or if I'm being basic, ketchup.
Okay, I would say if you guys have not had Chick-fil-A's avocado lime ranch sauce, oh my God, it's so good. So that's my answer.
I'd say sriracha mayo is like a safe one for everything.
I am also a cane sauce fan or ketchup. I eat ketchup with everything.
Big jalapeno ketchup guy. Big fan.
Sriracha or Cholula.
I like sriracha. I'm a Chick-fil-A sauce girl. And today I went to Chick-fil-A and they forgot my Chick-fil-A sauce.
My favorite condiment is sazon Goya.
Mine is Freddy's fried sauce.
Paige likes Freddy's fry sauce.
Tabasco sauce.
Fish sauce.
Barbecue.
Tartar sauce.
Mayonnaise.
Okay.
Is ranch considered a condiment?
Yeah.
Oh, then ranch or yum yum sauce.
Any condiment. I just don't like dry things, so any condiment.
Ketchup. Ketchup, barbecue.
Okay, wait, we got 2 more.
Does hummus count?
Yeah.
I like hummus. Also, please check in with me if you didn't earlier, and please fill out the survey, please, pretty please. Thank you.
Last one, here we go.
Ketchup.
Have a good day, everyone. Oh, sorry. Lots of seconds. Voice vote, do voice vote. Voice vote. Okay. Opposed? Hey. Have a good weekend.
Call me vice friend.
I don't really understand. You're so dirty.
The orange fries.
Okay, well, you know, show you the Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Yeah. I love them.
Sandy, that's the way to go.
Two Sammys.
I saw it.
It looks like it's
Yes, you did good.
No, yeah, I think so. See the shuttle bus. No, the shuttle from Emma is still running.
Should I or should I not? I don't know. So what are you?
I don't know if it's the shuttle.
Yeah, if I can touch it.
Yeah. But that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay, I'm gonna put the other one over. Wait, what? Yeah. There's so many people over here.